start off by telling you welcome. I appreciate you coming to see what it is that we've created here with the Smart Injury Doctors program. My name is Dr. Kronk. I'm the creator of that program. I'll get into a little bit more about me in just a second. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a program where we teach great doctors how to tap into a market where there is no competition, where you're not competing with anybody. Currently, there's no competition in this market pretty much at all. The nice thing is we've set up a system and a program now. We've been doing this for a number of years. I've set up a system where you can predictably grow. There is no program out there. We don't have any competition. There's no program out there like our program. There are other personal injury programs. Nobody has a program that's like our program. I know all the personal injury trainers in the market. I respect them all. I think they all have something to offer the market. But what I'm going to tell you is that what we do is very, very unique. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what it is that we do, what this program is, and I'm going to let our members start to tell the story a little bit. So you're going to see me do a presentation, and I'm going to work right down through what this program is, what makes us unique, what you actually, what the parts of it are. And then at the end, I will open it up. So right now you're all muted. I will open it up to any questions you have on any topic regarding personal injury. So one of the things we do is we make building a spinal injury practice fun. All right. Now, right now, that's probably really important because it should be fun. Growing your practice should be fun. Also, what I'm going to tell you is that there's never been a more important time than right now to grow the injury side of your practice. We're in a recession. That recession is not going to get better. It's going to get worse. It's going to be bad for a little while. Maybe a little longer than some of us expect. No matter what happens, no matter what House of Congress, no matter who's in politics at this point, there's been enough damage to the economy, enough damage to the business sector, and enough, all the various reasons that it's going to take a while for it to recover. We're just starting to see it. Now, what that means is cash practices. I got nothing against cash practices. I think the best providers in the world are cash practice providers, right? But people are going to have less cash. They're going to have less money, right? So they're going to put off what they would consider non-essential health services. Now, that does not happen in the injury market. It does not happen in the injury market at all. If anything, the injury market goes up. So the injury market is the largest market in the United States. And it also is recession-proof. So for many practices, if you had 2 or 3 or 4 additional personal injury patients a month coming into your practice, you're going to be great cruising through any recession, or no matter how bad it gets. So you're going to hear me drink water. I've been up since really early this morning. We are seriously busy. Our businesses have done extremely well this year. We're positioned to do explosive in this next year because everything I do is in the injury market. So one of the things that we look at is we say, hey, our doctors have a primary focus, and that primary focus is on great patient physical recovery results. Let's not talk about the medical legal yet. Let's not talk about settlement results or anything else. You can grow a very large practice if your primary focus is on patient results. Now, you also have to get your primary focus, in my experience, on getting in front of the bell curve, getting out of the normal average. When a patient is injured, they have a 55% chance of never fully recovering. So I am a large promoter that people should stay away from the average doctor, and they need to be with doctors that are at the front of the bell curve. Now, that's a really beautiful thing, because what that does is it helps make it very, when I say easy, nothing's easy, but it makes it a lot easier to grow a personal injury practice. It really does. And to sustainably grow it. So you have predictable growth. And in order to do that, I'm going to show you there's basic 4 foundations that you have to get good at. So when I look at clinic expansion, there we go. That slide got a little messed up. If you can do this, what I just said, if you can do this right here and you're here, then you can actually do as much clinic expansion as you want to. You can basically have better professional referral relationships, which I'll show you. You can, have less work, more money. You can have successful associates. So if you can grow your practice from a few personal injury patients to 10 to 20 to 30, it's very easy to have associateships. It's very easy to set up multiple clinics. It's easy to set up vacation time for you. It's easy to increase the asset that you're building, which is your clinic. It's easier to increase the asset that at some point you might want to exit out of. And it's easier to have a retirement. Now, everything that you want to do is on the other side of hard. It's also on the other side of amateur. It goes into the area of mastering things. And tonight I'm going to show you some simple things that if you master them, you will have predictable growth. And it doesn't have to be chasing around after attorneys, although chasing around after attorneys is a very viable and very good thing. It doesn't have to include all of that because there's a way to generate what are called unattached cases. So the largest provider that uses our information in my group does about 220 unattached cases a month. Now, that's not where the majority of you are. That's a 1%er. The largest clinic that we have that uses material that I teach does about 400 to 500 injury patients a month. Now, that's not a clinic; those are clinics. But that is not the average of what we have in our program. Far from it. The average person, the average group that we have in our program, the doctors are coming in. They have 2 patients a month. They'd like to get to 5. They have 5. They'd like to get to 10. They have 10. They'd like to get to 15 or 20. And that's really the norm. Okay. So a little bit about me. First of all, I'm a person, right? I'm a father. I'm a husband. I'm a grandfather. I'm a kid at heart. You get to know me. That's what I am. I was a licensed doctor for 31 years. I treated for 17 years. I saw over 175,000 patient visits myself. So I was in the room at least 175,000 times. I developed 2 national spinal ligament testing companies. I'm currently the CEO of a medical spinal ligament testing company called Spinal Kinetics. I also developed this system that the radiologists at Spinal Kinetics use in order to do excessive motion testing. I published ligament research. I've also developed the first online spinal ligament injury training program. That's what you're going to see tonight for doctors. And I've also developed one for lawyers. In 2013, I got a law degree. And currently, we'll be bringing in this next year an AI product that will auto-detect spinal instability in imaging centers. So that's my background. Now, that's a unique background. There's really not anybody else in the market that has that background. That allows me to be in trenches or to be involved in things that the majority of doctors are not. So every trainer out there, every coach out there has a little different perspective on things, and they're all valid. So I've written a lot. So if you Google search my name, you can see things that I've written. So I have a lot of experience, and I'm known in the area for spinal ligament injuries. So I'm going to start to now go into what you're here for is what are these 4 areas? What are these 4 things that I got to master? What are these 4 things that I got to become better than average in? Now, what I'm telling you is, oops, let me get out of there. The reason why I'm telling you this is some of you want the freedom. You want freedom. And I'm going to show you how to get it. What we do is we give any doctor the knowledge and confidence to be and build the best spinal injury center in their area, as well as provide them with a system they can use anytime turn it off, turn it on, not use it, decide it works too good, slow it down, to provide predictable growth for their injury and non-injury patient services forever. In our program, what we show you is a foundation for things that you will use forever. You're not going to, it's not a scheme. It's not a get rich quick or, oh, this is the newest, latest thing that's going to work out there. It doesn't have anything to do with that at all. Now, it is going to show you a market, though, where there is no competition. So you master these 4 areas and you can have complete freedom. So the things where I said, hey, vacation time or associate successful or, multiple clinics, or you're operating the clinic but not doing the adjusting services. You master these 4 things and basically you can be wherever you want to be. So the first thing is what we call the Smart Injury Doctors Training Program. So in marketing, anytime you put a business into the market, you're marketing, because marketing is the same as saying businessing. If you have a business, you're now businessing. If you have a business that's in the market, you're marketing. And marketing is developing a package or a service or a product that you have placed into the market. You have chiropractic services right now. It's very general. If you have chiropractic services and you're no different than any other chiropractic service, then everybody's on their way to the bottom because you're just a commodity. That's why the joint can charge $10 for an adjustment. Adjustment is just a commodity. So what we do here is we teach you what the product is, how to be unique. Here, we teach you how to basically produce internal referrals. That's unattached cases. That's where I show you how to take your asset that you're building. You're all building assets right now. You're all building clinics. I did too. You're building a clinic. At someday, you're either going to sell that clinic or you're going to get somebody to run it and you're going to pull cash flow out of it. Or you're going to do multiple, right? That's where the freedom comes in. But you got to learn how to develop internal referrals. Here, we're going to teach you how to get attention in the market. And getting attention, referrals follow attention and good attention. So in marketing, marketing will help you to repel what you don't want, and it'll help you to attract what you do want. So some of you maybe are in relationships with attorneys right now that you don't like. You're taking bills, you're getting your bills cut, and you're not sure how to get out of that. Well, what this program does is it shows you how to get out of those relationships, maybe not in the short run. Maybe you want to stay in it for the next month, 2 months, 3 months, because they are productive relationships for some services or whatnot. We'll show you how to market so that basically you're starting to attract the top of the line. Remember, this whole program is about putting you at the front of the bell curve. If you're in the middle of the bell curve, you're a commodity. If you're at the front of the bell curve, you can start to dictate terms. And it's not that hard. The other thing you got to learn how to do is follow up. You got to learn follow-up. Nobody has a relationship without follow-up. And relationships can be extremely, extremely successful things. Right now, if you're in a successful relationship, in a boyfriend-girlfriend, girlfriend-boyfriend, or a marriage, and it's really good, you know how good relationships can be. And that's just in that area outside of practice. So what we do first is we got to show you, how do you stand out? How do you stand out in the market? If you're going to do what everybody else does, you're not going to stand out. You're just a commodity, right? So we show you an injury market within the injury market. Now I'll tell you what it is, but you'll go, I already know that market. And I'm going to tell you it's a ligament injury market. But I'll also tell you that if you already know that market and you're not completely loaded, and you can't tell me simply, okay, great, there's only 3 injuries to a spine, because there is only 3 injuries, doctors, to a spine. Spine is bone and connective tissue. If you damage it, you have to damage the bone or the connective tissue, or both, right? So connective tissue damage, ligaments, 220 ligaments hold everything together, including the discs. And then there's 23 discs, And of course, there's bones. So if you didn't break the spine, but you say you injured the spine, it has to be a connective tissue injury. It's either disc herniation or, more often than not, the more serious injury, and this is where you do not have competitors in your market. You have posers in your market, but you don't have competitors in your market, right? So we show you, okay, great. This is how we're going to show you how to completely stand out. Now, I'm going to let the members explain how that's true, right? We quickly get you to be your area's leading expert in this area as long as you want to, right? Obviously, if you don't want to be an expert in no amount of coaching or no amount of training is going to help you, right? Because why would you even buy it, or why would you even get involved with it? So it's very easy to be an expert in this area. It's very easy to use this information to get a lot better patient results, because that's what we're all about. We're about better patient results. It's also very easy to simplify your documentation. A lot of the documentation that gets trained in today, nobody reads and nobody understands it. The insurer doesn't understand it. The attorney doesn't understand it. Nobody understands it, right? So what I do, what makes me unique in the market is I take complicated things and make them simple so that they're understandable. Now, that also comes into play if you're in a deposition or if you're in a trial. Because one of the things that happens is if you can't explain something simply enough that a 13 or a 14-year-old can get it, trust me, the professionals you're working with don't get it either, right? So it's very difficult to simplify something. It's very easy to make something complicated. So again, that middle of the bell curve, they stay in complicated. They stay in confusion. The front of the bell curve, simple, easy to communicate because their understanding is already established and it's at a much higher level. So it's very easy to simplify your documentation. Everything I teach you is guideline compliant, so you can sleep better. Personal injury is it's in a regulated space. It's a medical legal space. So you want to stay safe because you want to be guideline compliant. You're going to sleep a lot better. And you want to be working with the top of the line professionals. You want to start to establish you're in the front of the bell curve. So that's where you want to work with. If I'm going to work with a pain management, I want the best one there is. If I'm going to work with a surgeon, I want the best one there is. Neurologist, I want the best one there is. And not only that, but I'm confident enough that I can go in and speak with them and be very competent on what I'm adding to the team that they don't have and that they can't find anywhere else in the market, because I'm showing them what I'm doing that is different. And again, I'm showing you an area where there isn't any competition. Less hassles, and you're insurer friendly. Okay, this is the biggest, beefiest part of our system, right? There's just under 6 hours of training here. It's all online. It's all with video. Now, it will explain to you things that you've been confused about possibly for your whole career, like I was. I'm nobody special. I've been doing this for a very, very long time. And I'm probably slower than every one of you, right? When I get onto something, I stay on it. And so if it's complicated, I keep working it out until it's not complicated. Now, there's no additional equipment. Everything that you need, you already have. You don't need any additional equipment. You don't need to buy tables. You don't need to buy rehab equipment. Those things are helpful and in the future if you want to, but you don't have to do any of that. And this is easy to implement. So it's not hard to implement. Now, I'm going to play a couple of doctors. This is a doctor. He's got a 10,000 square foot clinic. He has an extremely large practice. They see anywhere from 600 to 700 patient visits a week. He's been in practice for a very long time, but he was not doing much with injuries. So with all that patients, all of that traffic, he was not doing much in the injury space. Listen to what he has to say.
Hi, I'm Dr. Tim Radcliffe. I'm from Lockport Chiropractic, been in practice 30 years.
I'm going to turn this up just a little bit. In order to do that, I got to get out of here for just a second. So, good. All right. Let's go back to this. Okay. There we go.
Hi, I'm Dr. Tim Radcliffe. I'm from Lockport Chiropractic, been in practice 30 years, and I'm giving a huge shout out to Dr. Jeffrey Cronk, Smart Injury Doctors. I want to thank him personally for adding personal injury to my practice. After 30 years, Dr. Cronk was able to show me how to easily add and start to treat injury patients. A subject that I always felt was too complex. He was actually able to break it down into simplest forms to really make it understandable, not only to me, but to my patients, and actually to the surrounding community of health professionals and attorneys. His material on his website has literally been life-changing, again, for my practice and for me personally, and I'm actually excited with what this new year will bring, bringing on this new subset of cultures that specialize in injuries, in spinal injuries in particular. So, Dr. Cronk, thank you very much for everything, and I wish you the best in the future.
Good. Now you're going to listen to a doctor where I'm asking him, is there anybody in this market? He's an established provider. They have had a clinic in Ohio for one of the top injury clinics in Ohio for a long time. He's integrated. He has a medical doctor in it. He is a doctor of chiropractic. And you'll hear a little bit of music in the background with this, but I'm asking him, is there anybody in this market, in this spinal ligament injury market? Now you're all chiropractors. You're going to say, well, we're all in that market. Well, are you? Because what I'm teaching, there you don't have any competition. There's nobody in this market. Listen to what he says. Chris, is there anyone in spinal ligament injury market, in your experience, now that you started applying this program, is there anyone really in this market?
There is nobody in this market. Nobody at all. Not even close.
So it's wide open.
Wide open.
Right, which is one of the things that I love about this program. So you just shared, like, how easy is this to go to take it to MDs? Share what you just shared about the Urgent Care Center that you just recently went out.
It's fantastic, easy, very, very easy to talk to. You don't even have to get into details. Tell them that we just told them that we're objectifying a cervical sprain, taking it one step further. Where's the level at? How bad it is, so on and so forth.
Right. So you don't have to get into the nitty gritty. You don't have to get into what is alteration, motion, segment integrity. Matter of fact, aren't you finding that the simpler you keep it, the easier and better it is?
Absolutely.
Good. So now he's going to talk about, was it hard to implement the documentation? As far as documentation, I talk a lot about, not a lot, but I talk about the Colossus documentation and simplifying this whole documentation thing. How do you find the documentation? It's pretty simple, correct?
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, it's a no-brainer. I mean, it's not adding any extra work to you.
Good. So it's not any extra work to you. You're already working. You're probably already overworking your documentation. But you've got to have key things in it. So this is where he's talking about is, what happens when you're in this market for attorneys that he was working with. Based
Same
on,
thing. I mean, we've had a group that we've been using for prior to spinal ligament injuries, and again, they introduced me in front of their home group, and we're like, listen, we are settling cases at a higher rate with Chris because of these diagnostic ligament instability injuries.
that's fantastic. Plus, they've also asked you to speak now, correct?
Correct. And they're not even getting as much pushback from these insurance companies because of the objective finding.
Good. So here's another one where I'm actually on a coaching call, and I'm basically saying you have to understand this doctor's training that I'm just explaining to you. I'm explaining that you have to understand it. Listen to what the doctor says. You got to know this part of it. That's the doctor's training. You got to know this part of it, because this part of it, really, you own this part of it. Then going out to attorneys and being able to communicate in a way that kind of bites and indicates. Matt, you on?
Yeah, I'm here.
Matt, you've been in the program for what, maybe 3 months?
Not even,
Not even-
60 days,
60 days. Okay.
maybe
So
9.
how many referrals?
Ooh. 17,
17 referrals. Good.
and from like 6 different attorneys. And I've only done the education for one of them.
Good. So he did the education for one of them and it spread to 5 others. Now, this is, Chris, is there anyone else? That was bad. All right. So here you're now going to meet Matt. Matt had a very busy practice in Florida, sold the practice and opened a brand new practice. So he was with us from scratch, from just starting to open up. So when he says, look, I got 17 new patients in 60 days, that's from scratch. This is what he has to say.
Hey guys, I'm Dr. Matt Herba calling from Boston, Massachusetts. And I just want to give a shout out to Dr. Kronk and the Smart Injury Doctors program. And I just want to talk to you guys a little bit about ethics. You know, there's so many programs in chiropractic. There's functional medicine, there's coaching, where you talk to them and they promise you the sun, the moon, and the stars. Well, I will tell you that this program is one of the very few programs that I've seen that if you want to find out how to make documentation, if you want to handle injury cases, or just your general chiropractic cases, if you want to do your documentation better, if you want to be able to meet with attorneys and get referral relationships built, this is an amazing program that takes all that complexity and makes it very simple. There's not many programs out there, you know, they promise you the sun, the moon, and the stars. I've been using Dr. Kronk's program for about 60 to 90 days, and we've already met with 3 of the top personal injury, providers or attorneys here in Boston. And they're like, holy cow, this stuff is amazing. It's simple and it's easy to use. So if you're looking for a group or a group of people that has high ethics, that really knows what they're doing, this is the program. And there's very few times that I leave reviews for anything because I've been burned so many times. But Dr. Kronk, thank you so much. This has been an amazing experience so far. And for everybody in the group that's been so helpful, it's been awesome too. So if you're looking to make documentation easy, have your marketing handled, and actually find injuries and help your patients, whether they're injury patients or not, Dr. Kronk's program definitely fits the bill for that. Once again, this is Dr. Matt Herba from Boston, Massachusetts. Old chiropractor, but new practice, and we're expanding.
All right, good. So that's how, the thing that I like about what he's saying is exactly what I said. It's simple. You have to make things simple. Right? So now, the second thing, I said, okay, there's the first thing. One, you got to have something unique you're bringing to the market. The next thing you're going to do is you have to develop a team and you have to develop internal procedures to generate referrals with no additional time on your part. Now, you're going to say, well, how in the heck do you do that? It's really easy. Now, it's easy if you have materials. It's easy if you have a system to put in place. So in this part of our program, we call this building your internal referral machine and staff training. In that, we have pre-written patient materials, patient materials that start to communicate what you learned in the pillar 1, or you learned on like, okay, here's this market and we don't have any competition. Now we've got patient materials that explain it. Now those patient materials are designed to help you get not only injury patients, but also chronic pain patients if you want them. And in that, I show you how to actually use the system and communicate to get referrals while you're doing what you're already doing. If you're going to do a consult, you might as well generate referrals in the consult. Takes you no additional time. If you're going to do an exam, you might as well start generating referrals. It's just, what are you talking about? And how are you talking about it? Because it's not hard when I say, the generating internal referrals is not hard, but you got to have materials, right? You have to have, we have a checklist for key injury patient visits. That's so you can sort of choreograph those visits so that everybody's on the same page in your office and the patient feels better. They feel like it's more professional. They get better results. They improve in their compliance. They improve in their relationship with you. They improve in their referrals with you. And your largest army of marketers is your patients. But do you arm them to market for you in a way that's not like Amway-ish, right? Or in a way that's not where you're, constantly begging them for referrals. That's not what you're going to do. That will never work. So we help train you, your staff. You're going to do the training. I show you how to do it. And it's, when somebody says, well, how long does this take to implement? The training itself for this whole system is 32 minutes. And you're going to go, what? 32 minutes. There's some word tracks, things that you're going to say in key visits that you need to learn. That's another 40 minutes. But the overall training of this is very, very quick. And it's step by step. And it's not hard. It's just, and when you see it, you'll go, oh, wow, why didn't we start? Why wouldn't we have done this before? Because my thing is, I understand how hard you work. I'm like, when I was in private practice, I was a 70-hour-a-week guy, at least, right? Maybe my adjusting hours were 25 to 28 hours, somewhere in there. The rest of the time I spent running around trying to chase, market, grow, hire, do all kinds of stuff, right? So I totally know where you live. Right. So what I'm going to show you is how to actually get more out of what you're doing when you're doing it, so it's more productive. And we also show you how to activate your patient base. So some of you have smaller patient bases. Some of you have larger patient bases. If you're going to talk about selling your clinic and building an asset, you want to build your patient base. Now, building a patient base, if somebody has 10,000 patients in their database, they have 1,100 injury incidents in that database every year. You could have all the injury patients you want coming right out of that database without ever having to go out to attorneys if you did want to. But what do you communicate and how do you do it? That's what we've developed. So we show you how to activate that patient base, and we show you how to keep that patient base active so that you're thought of as an injury center. Many of you do great injury work, but you have no materials up in your clinic about it. Well, that's like saying, I've got this busy street and I can put a sign there if I want to, but I've never taken the time to put up a sign on the busy street. When you have a busy practice, you have energy that's coming in. You need to actually have a sign on your street. You have needed signs in your clinic. You need materials that are going to explain and keep people thinking about you. This is Ron Benson. He said, hey, since beginning Dr. Cronk's program, I've increased over 1 new PI case per week by referral directly from using the materials, the information to educate attorneys and patients. If that's a $6,000 case average, let's make it easy math. If it's a $10,000 case average, you're going to go, oh my God, $10,000, holy smokes. If it's a $10,000 case average, how much? That's $520,000 in services just by using materials. If it's half that, if it's $5,000 case average, right? It's 260,000 in services with materials. Now, this is a provider, came into our program and just started putting up the materials. This is what he said.
I've got posters up now on personal injury. So I'm doing some internal marketing, and that, since I started that, we've probably gotten 12 new patients for personal injury pretty quick.
Now, here's what I'm going to tell you, in case nobody tells you this. You have to have a system because it's not any one thing. For one doctor, it's going to be, hey, the patient materials. For another doctor, it's going to be going out to attorneys. For another doctor, it's going to be reactivating their patient base. For another doctor, but it's the combination of the things. It's starting to do them all. And you don't have to do them all. Building a personal injury practice that's sustainable, predictable, and growth is a marathon. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon. But how you build it is the same now as it will be 10 years from now. So once you learn how to do it, you do it forever. And the same principles are there to build the other aspect of your practice as well. So this is another portion of it, right? So one of the things that we want to do is we say, we got to have something unique. We got to be able to use our energy and develop internal referrals. And we got to have a system for that. Then we got to get some attention in the market, right? Because referrals follow attention. And marketing is about getting attention, good attention in the market, getting somebody to look at you, getting somebody to notice you. Marketing will attract what you want and it'll repel what you don't want, right? So this is kind of one of these truths. I didn't build this particular piece. It's a piece we built for something else, but it fits in really nice here. We help you start serving your market better by making your greatness known. Remember, you're striving to be at the front of the bell curve, or you're at the front of the bell curve. You should be the busiest doctor in town, right? But who knows about you? Most practices suffer from what I call attention deficit disorder, ADD. Nobody knows you're there. They don't know how good you are. They don't know what makes you unique. They don't know why they should choose you over any. If I'm looking down, on a website, why should I choose you over somebody else? Right. So this is an interesting truth is it's not the best services that get the most patients. It's the most known services that get the most patients. So the best services don't always get the most patients. The most known services get the most patients. So you want to be the best and the most known. Marketing is what does it. Right. So in our program, we have abundant amount of materials that are explaining this uniqueness. We built these internal patient materials that explain this uniqueness. We now build external materials. We have 100 plus professionally done social media videos for you to post. These aren't social media ads. These are social media videos that explain what makes you unique. We have hundreds of social media static post materials. You can post every day in the year and never post the same thing. And I'll also show you that posting is somebody in your office is going to do something for 15 to 30 minutes a day. That's top. That's all you got to do. So it's not super time consuming. And it's certainly not super time consuming when everything's already there, right? We have 50 pre-written source references for you to create articles. Tomorrow, you could start to write about this particular area and post it in LinkedIn. So when you go out to talk to attorneys, somebody looks at you and they say, oh, he wrote an article on ligament injuries. Oh, he wrote an article on headaches. Oh, he wrote an article on chronic neck pain, on chronic low back pain. Interesting. So those things you don't ever get to because you don't have the time, right? These things take, when we say 50 pre-written references for you to create articles, that's easily 50 to 100 hours. Now, how long does it take for you to do it? 20 minutes. Doesn't take long at all, right? 12 written free reports. These are things to get you known and understood in your market. Again, those 12 written free reports, those are hundreds of hours. Those will take you hundreds of hours to create. That we've already created. Now, when I said at the beginning, there's nobody in our market that's like us. I don't have any competition. And I'm not competing against other groups or other trainers or anything else, because again, what we do is really unique. What this does is it quickly allows you to become a leading expert in your area. Then the thing that people talk probably the most about is we have MD and attorney PowerPoint presentation materials. And I coach you and train you how to use them. They're the simplest materials to use. They're the simplest presentations. They're not hard to do. And we also give you the training and teach you, well, how do you get in front of these attorneys? How do you call an attorney and say, hey, I want to do a presentation. How do you get in front of them? Because remember, in the average market, or in the market where everybody's scrambling to try to do that. They're taking them, dropping off pens, dropping off paper, taking them out to lunch. What are you going to do that is going to present, that's going to make you stand out and be unique? And again, love just let members talk. So this is a member, ran a very large decompression. I think he has at least 8 or 10 decompression tables. And this is what he has to say when he came in.
Hey, Dr. Jeff, not sure if this is going to work, but we're going to give it a shot. Just wanted to say thank you for the information that you're giving us. This is going to allow me to get back into a niche that I used to be involved in, and definitely set myself apart from everybody else because of how you guys approach personal injury, what we can bring to attorneys, what we can bring to the table from a doctor's standpoint. I just want to say thank you. This information has been phenomenal. I'm like 3 days into this, so I haven't even finished everything yet, but it's been fantastic, and I'm really looking forward to get back into this. Thanks.
Okay, he was 3 days into it, and he was really fast. He wanted to get out and do attorney presentations, and so this is what he sent me. Hey, just large thank you. I just gave my first, probably worst attorney PowerPoint presentation yesterday. So he felt like he rushed it and he was a little unprepared. Got my first attorney relationship started and 2 pending referrals he's sending over. Right? So you don't even have to be good or perfect. This is not something where you need to be perfect, because there isn't anybody. Again, Matt Erba, 5 cases referred for next week. Might not be a lot for some of the big dogs. For me, that's a record. If I go to, let's take a young doctor, and this is what he says about payment, right? So he's talking about, yes. Well, listen to what he has to say.
Hey everyone, it's Dr. Zach Reidinger from Gonson Spinal Wellness. I'm out here in beautiful Meridian, Idaho, and I just finished doing my lawn. So back there, just finished putting in all my grass. Anyways, I want to talk a little bit about Dr. Cronk's program. I met Dr. Kronk probably about 2 years ago and was understanding there's a lot to know when it comes to PI, understanding auto cases, and then most of all, how to make sure that you get paid from all of your attorneys, that they're not cutting your fees 30 to 60%. So far, we've gone through probably, 30 to 40 auto cases, and I have not had a case paid below 90%. And it's all due to what Dr. Kronk teaches. He teaches how to do proper documentation. He understands spinal ligament injuries, which is the best way to be able to document and understand sprain grades. And then
So I'm going to cut him off right there. The reason why I wanted to hear that was their results with payments. This is Dr. Jones. And this is what he has to say. When we say, hey, look, we got 100+ social media videos that you can post, listen to what he says.
Long story short, I've been posting twice a day on Facebook videos, steals, and I can tell you I have this week already 2 direct PI cases that came from the videos.
Yes.
They know they were from there because he told me, oh, that video just made sense. And I have another guy that's my web guy, and he posts stuff like once every couple of weeks or something like that. And when I look on Facebook, it'll have like 5 views, 6 views. I put probably 10 things on there now in the last 4 or 5 days, and they're getting 40, 50, 60 views. I mean, radically higher than what I've been getting for the last couple of years.
Good. So he already got 2 patients from posting videos. Now, just so you know, when he says, hey, I'm posting twice a day, Dr. Jones sees anywhere from, I believe, 350 to 400, 450 patient visits a week as a sole provider, right? So for you that say, well, look, I don't have any time. I don't have time. This does not take a lot of time. And most of you have a lot of time. You just have a lot of time that it gets expended doing things that aren't productive. So I want to take you down to This is more on Greg Jones, right? So now he's in the program. He says, hey, I just got my first law firm to schedule a presentation today. Sent out an email to the office, got a reply in literally 10 minutes saying they would love to have a meeting. I'm pretty excited. Now, again, this doesn't happen this way for everyone, right? It's a system. So he says, just got done with my first attorney presentation. All I can say is home run. Super nice, busy attorney that loved everything about the presentation. He and his office manager were very excited. They both asked to be patients themselves. At the end, he gave me 2 new cases for tomorrow and said, I will keep you very busy. Now, he started, he was about a month off where I hadn't seen him, 2 months. And so I sent him a letter. Hey, it was just a DM. She's in our coaching program. I said, hey, I was just thinking about you in the last 2 weeks, not seeing you on any of the coaching calls. This can be a good thing as you can get busy. Everything good? Need any help? He said, hey, Jeff, gonna be on the next call. You got the bail on the head. Obviously, it's nail on the head. The office has just gotten busy, busy, busy. The first attorney that I worked with just keeps feeding me constantly. The only problem I admit is that if I'm to do it all, I'm gonna do it all myself, guy, and I really need more staff and eventually an associate doc. I have 2 other attorneys that have contacted me from another attorney who recommended me, but I'm getting nervous to add much more business. But on a side note, practice collections have doubled, which is a good thing. I said, ha, feel bad for you. That's awesome. You just made my morning. Thanks for the share. That's the kind of responses that, that this is what we do it for. This puts a ton of gas in my tank. Thanks again. That's what we live for. Right. Thank you all. You taught me, the thing when all these new cases settle properly, my collections will probably quadruple. Now, got to show you how to be unique, got to show you how to develop and use your internal resources, got to show you how to market. And then the last thing that we need to show you is how to follow up, but how to follow up so it's not so strenuous. Grant Cardone, people know him. He's a big sales trainer. He says, be so relentless with your follow-up that you stand out as the only choice. And that doesn't mean be the Amway sales guy. It's not what we're talking about. So what we do with this is follow-up is easy. The cool part about it is that almost no one does it. Now, if no one does it and I do it, I don't have any competition in my market. It's really easy. It's very, very, doesn't take a lot of time, and it's free. Now, I'm going to give you one example. There's a lot of examples I could do. I'm not going to teach you what's in this program tonight. When you use Facebook, many of you use social media, and you're more used by it than you use it. You get into it, an hour goes by or 2 hours go by, and all you've done is waste time. Maybe you've kept up with some family, friends, whatever, that's fine. I'm going to teach you, you don't use your social media. You're not going to be used by it. You use it. It's a fantastic business tool. So if any of you right now were to go post something on any of my social media accounts, I get a notification on my phone and I get your name and who you are and what you just posted. We teach you how to do that for attorneys as well, right? It's free. It's easy. Someone in your office does it for 15 minutes a day, or 15 minutes every other day, or 15 minutes a week. Depends on how fast you want to grow, but it's not hard to do. And we show you how to do it. That's the follow-up. Now, the last part of it. So those are the 4 things, right? We got to make you unique, show you how to develop internal referrals with no additional time, show you how to get attention in the market, and show you how to follow up. I used to sell this program unto itself, thinking that doctors could come into it and they would just apply the materials. They came into it. They were like, oh my gosh, this is great. Yeah. How's it going? How many patients do you have? How many new patients you have? We don't have any, but it's great. Oh my God, it's the best material I've seen. So that's when I started, and we no longer sell it without coaching. So we have 2 1-hour group sessions per week. On Tuesdays, I train, teach you this portion of it and this portion of it. On Thursdays, I teach this portion of it and this, and I don't teach at that point. When I'm coaching, you've already gone through the process. You've already gone through the video training, the short video training. Now I'm coaching you on application. How do you apply it? Because it's time not to read about how you lift weights or how you do a bench press. It's time to bench press. It's time to actually get in there and do it. And that's the part that for me is the most fun. So we actually have we have a one-on-one goals consult. So when a person comes into my program, we immediately have a one-on-one goals consult because every clinic is different. That's where I assess, okay, what do you have? What do you do? And then we start to say, this is what your primary focus has got to be on it first. And then we get to the coaching. So in the program, currently, we also have some bonuses that I'm going to talk about. One is we have a deposition mastery bonus. That's where I'm showing you how to take the doctor education that I just said and how to be really good in depositions or trials. And that means when I say really good, I mean simple. I mean things that communicate well. Hello, Doc. So now, let me go back to that. Some of the top experts in the world, there's a guy named James Mathis, and this is what he says about the foundation. So when you get into deposition or you get into trials, you have to have a foundation. I've already taught you the foundation in the doctor's training. This is what he says. Hello, Dr. Kronk here. I want you to listen to a very quick clip. I do a lot of webinars. This is with James Mathis. You can Google search him. James Mathis is one of the foremost insurance experts in the country. And this is what he says about a foundation that should be set up in the first 30 days, especially if you're using a chiropractor. Now, that foundation is what we teach you on what to look for. And the doctors that we teach you to look for are called smart injury doctors. So listen to what James Mathis has to say.
We actually, in all claims, even claims that I settle for $20-30 million, look to the chiropractic documentation, objective testing, finding, and diagnosis in the first 30 days to support what we are then alleging 2 years down the road as the significant catastrophic injuries that lead to those kinds of settlement.
Now, you're going to go your whole life and never be involved with a settlement that high, right? But what I want, the point is that the things even at the highest level, in the last 3 months, we've had two doctors settle. One settled one for 6.7 million, and the other one was 6.2 million. Those are spinal ligament injury cases. Now, that you're not going to run into that. In your whole life, you may never run into that. That's the top 1% of the top 10% of something that would go to a trial. The only thing it communicates is that, and I don't care about settlements, you shouldn't either. But what it communicates is that this information communicates because somebody had to get that in order to give that large of a settlement. Somebody had to get that. So this is this is a doctor, and he allowed me to record him, and this is what he says about his experience, which was his first experience of testifying with ligament injuries.
Hey, Dr. Cron.
Hey, Dr. Smith, I got you on record, if that's all right with you. Is that all right with you?
Sure.
Okay. You called earlier. What was the call about?
My first case settled, and it settled for $370,000.
Congratulations. What?
Okay,
Now, that was the one that you were in court just Tuesday, right?
that's correct.
Okay, and that was your first one where you did testimony on ligament damage.
That's correct. Hey, Dr. Cron.
Hey, Dr. Smith, I got you
Good.
on record.
So that was obviously a good result. Now, people get too focused on these types of things, and it takes your focus off the bread and butter. It takes your focus off the everyday clinical experience where you're generating referrals. This is not the everyday experience. These settlements that I just talked about, that's not your everyday experience. But you have to be set up for when they do come along, that you're able to accommodate that. And that's all I'll say about that. Now, the last thing that I'm going to talk about is when you come into a program. We have a program where I train lawyers. So I train lawyers across the country on these same injuries, on these same conditions. And I train them to look for specific doctors. If I were to go out to that landing page, we're enhancing case outcomes through spinal injury understanding. And I'm going through what these attorneys are going to learn in this program: spinal injury basics, spinal injury documentation basics, pre-existing conditions, all things that I'm taught you, PI miss. So they're going to get all of these things in 2.5 hours of training, right? So we sell that program, and we sell it for $997 currently. An attorney that goes through it says, Dr. Cronk, I'm part 2, section 17 for lawyers. I'm absolutely stunned by how valuable this information is. I've implemented a requirement that everyone who works for me is required to understand each section. When I'm finished, every attorney that I consult with, this is a attorney consultant, will know how, and will know that this program is essential to understanding personal injury. It's simply fantastic, and I've been revamping my firm as a result. I look forward to our collaborations. Now I could do a lot more testimonials on that aspect of it, right? So that's let me get out of here. We offer you up to 6 licenses of these with our program. So what
Hold on.
Now, the last thing I'm going to say on this is I'm going to play you. I do a lot of attorney educational programs. And so one of the things that I'm saying is marketing will attract what you want and it'll repel what you don't want. So I want you to listen to what this attorney says about the value of doctors that can get good physical recovery results. Because remember, I'm saying you need to be in the front of the bell curve. All of this is for physical recovery benefits. In other words, the whole gist of everything I do is to get better results with patients. So listen to what this attorney says.
Although I want my clients to get a good financial recovery, I also am very focused on them recovering from a medical standpoint, because at the end of the day, their satisfaction with my services, even though I'm not the doctor, their satisfaction with my services is going to depend in large part, probably more so on how their back feels or their neck feels than on the check that they get, especially in a non-catastrophic case.
Good. So what I'm going to start to do is transition you into a little bit now of, okay, what is the program? How much does it cost? What does it all entail? So again, these are just more attorney referrals or attorney testimonials. So let's talk a little bit about the program. And I have been developing this program over years. And we keep adding and we keep adding and we keep adding to it. So the value of the doctor training program is showing you a market where there isn't anybody, $29.99. The value of showing you how to develop internal referrals. When the doctor said, look, we got 12 internal referrals using these materials. Okay, he's never going to stop using materials. $29.99. Marketing program with all the stuff we have in it. We value it at $49.99. It's actually larger than that, but that's what we value it at. Follow-up, teaching you follow-up, things that providers don't do, but are the easiest thing to do, $29.99. Coaching, $49.99, $18,995 in value. When I throw in all of the signing program and the bonuses, the deposition mastery and the 6 licenses, up to 6 licenses, the total value rises to about $26,000. Now, we have anybody who looks at presentation or looks at this material, looks what we have inside, everything has improved. Again, it's online and you can train right with your phone. Now, obviously that's not what we're going to sell it for. What we do sell it for is all in. We sell it for $59.99. And that includes everything that I just showed you. And the other thing it does is it includes one-time fee, lifetime membership. So when I say lifetime membership, all of these programs are lifetime. So we improve them a lot. So there's doctors that have spent $997 4 years ago, 3 years ago to get in this program. They have access to any materials that they bought. So when they had access to the marketing materials, if they go into the marketing program today, it doesn't even look like it used to look. When we sold it back then and there were 10 social media videos, some of them were pretty cheesy, right? When you see what's in it today, totally different story. But they have access to it for life. So as we improve it, and we'll continue to improve it, it's lifetime access. The other thing is you can train from anywhere. You can add associates. Right now we charge $100. So if you have 2 associates, 3 associates, 10 associates, we charge them $100 to get per associate in order to get an additional license for them to get into the doctor's portion of it. We invite the staff into the coaching sessions. You or your staff, doesn't matter, whoever you want to have on the coaching sessions is fine. Staff and anybody else in the private group. Now, one thing we're currently doing tonight, if you actually go, all right, I want to look at this and I'm pretty sure I want to get involved with this. I've been looking at it. I know that personal injury is where I need to go. I know that the market is shifting. I know in order to protect my asset in this basic recession, I need to get 2 or 3 or 4 more injury patients a month. So I want to invest in it. And I want to start to, take advantage of the coaching. I want to take advantage of this online training. We're going to give you zip code exclusivity for 6 months. That means all of our materials, you have access to licenses, everything else that we're giving away. Nobody else can come into your zip code for 6 months. Now, some of you are going to go, well, why not forever? You don't need forever. Matter of fact, you want other doctors in your zip code. You just want the advantage, if you can get it, of being first in that area. Now, it does not matter. It does not matter if you're not first in the area, if you weren't first in the area. In the long run, if you weren't first, if you can be first, it's the ideal position to be in. So that is what we have. And I'm going to get out of here for just a second. So I'm going to stop sharing this for just a second. And I'll go to a Q&A. But before I do that, I'm going to pull up a link, which I thought I had in here. And then I will answer any questions you have. Go to a link. Copy. Good. All right. So I'm going to go back to this and let's get out of here. Out of here, out of here. Go back to here. Sorry about that. And again, I'll do some Q&A here in just a second, and I will answer any questions that you have. All right, you should see my screen. Sorry. I'm going to stop the share. A second again. I'm going to go into the chat, and I'm going to chat you a link. So you're going to have the link right there. And there is the link. Now, what that link takes you to is it takes you to a purchase. So if you saw something tonight, you said, look, I'm ready to go. Because a lot of doctors, when we're in doing this, have seen the materials before. So if you're ready, fine. If you're not, that's fine. You can call, and I would highly recommend that you do, and schedule additional time with me or Chrissy at our office to get whatever questions you might have or you might need answered. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go into Q&A, and I'm going to unmute you all so that you can speak. You all allow patients. Yes. All right. Good. So any questions? Any questions on what you saw? You can either raise your hand, which if you're familiar with Zoom, you can raise your hand, or you can just unmute yourself and ask me. Anybody have any questions? And it's okay if we don't, we're out of here early.
Hey, I got a question.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm actually an old member. I'm one of those guys that I just watch you when you get on, but I'm one that signed up a long time ago. Do I have access to the 6 license, or do I have to pay for those? How does that work?
Yeah, you don't have access to those.
Okay, so how does that work with when you've been a member for a while?
What you'd have to do, we do have a situation for you guys, for you old guys or older members that haven't ever done any coaching. You would schedule a call with Chrissy.
Okay.
You would call 800-940-6513. And she would explain to you how you would have access to some licenses.
Got it. Okay.
Do that, Gary.
Yep. Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, who else? Any questions? Like, is everybody doing really well? And they're like, they're just their clinic is, at the point where you go, oh my gosh, we got too many injury patients coming in. Because if you have a question on, hey, I'm struggling with something, or this makes sense, or if you're just sitting back going, hey, you know what, this makes sense, and I just don't get to this stuff. I just don't do it. I just don't know how to apply it, or I just don't do it. Good. Ask me that. Like, how do you correct that? Because what I'm going to tell you is that this is the easiest market right now. It's not a hard market. And if you're already in the market, it's not hard to do some minor shifts and go from like everybody else to, hey, I'm taking my like everybody else portion of my practice, and I'm going to now see, oh my gosh, there's more I can add to it. And I can actually generate a lot of non-injured referral patients doing these same procedures. So let me give you a hint on that. If a patient comes in to your office, they're going to walk out with a pamphlet that explains what your injury services are, what makes you unique. In that pamphlet, it's going to explain the injuries. They're even going to start to self-diagnose that they don't have a disc herniation, because the majority of symptoms that you treat are not from a disc herniation, even though lawyers want you all to have disc studies. Okay, that's an extreme opportunity for you, for attorneys. If I want to go to an attorney and say, gosh, one of the things we do at our office, I'm looking for an attorney that can actually handle our injury cases. We have a really nice injury center. We do some very specific things. We pick up the severe injuries that are found on MRI, and also pick up and treat the severe injuries that are not found on MRI. Just shut up. Try it tomorrow. First question the attorney is going to ask you, what are those? That's the market that nobody talks about. That's the market that nobody's in. And if you don't know how to explain that market, you're not in it either. You're not in it. So if you can say you're in the injury market, fine, I agree with you, you are. But if you said spinal ligament injury market, most of you are not in it. You're going to say, well, no, I'm Dr. Kronk, I'm in the sprain market. Okay, good. You're right. Everybody's in the sprain market. Right? But there's a hell of a lot more to it than that. And it's very simple. And once simple communicates, that's why these attorney presentations that we teach you to do really get results, because they're super simple. Now, it wasn't simple to figure out how to do them. That took a hell of a lot of time. And that took a lot of over communicating, talking, going, oh, that didn't get me any results. How many years did that take? I don't know, maybe like 10. Some of you would have figured it out after 2. It takes me a little longer, right? So it's that. It's not hard. And if you're going to be in practice, I think you should have injury work in your practice. The best practices we have are not completely injury practices. They're mixed. The majority of practices are mixed. So it's not hard. So that being said, any questions on any of it? Thank you for your time tonight. I saw you mention 6 hours for training product. How much time for staff training manual? Staff training manual, 32 minutes. That's how we have it. That's how much we have it down. Once you understand the 6, once you understand what I'm saying is the product, teaching you how to deliver that product is quick, right? That part doesn't take very long. So that whole staff training aspect of it is probably 32 or 33 minutes. And then there's 40 or 42 minutes of communication tips that I teach you to use. So I'll give you an example of a communication tip. If you have material set up, it's very easy to go. You're already going to do a consult. There's not one of you that doesn't do consults, right? But when you do a consult, why not stimulate referrals in your consult? So here's a consult. Good. I'm going to teach you how to be a ligament specialist and how to work them up. But I'm also going to teach you how to communicate them about. So let's say your patient's Mary. Hey, Mary, we're about to go into the exam. What we're going to be looking for most is ligament damage. So ligaments are what hold the bones together. Anyone that you know that has any form of chronic pain, chronic low back pain, chronic neck pain, chronic headaches, has this condition. It's never been diagnosed, never been properly treated. We're going to make sure that doesn't happen with you. Did I ask for a referral? Nope. Now, what would that person might be thinking? Do you think people don't know people who have chronic low back pain, or people who have chronic neck pain, or people that are not suffering from headaches chronically? Now, I don't have to say much more. I'm going to say a little bit in an exam. I'm going to say a little bit when I'm doing x-rays or sending out for an x-ray. Booklet's going to start to explain something. Second day, I might do my report of findings. Guess what? They're in an automated email sequence that we set up. In the automated email sequence, they're getting more information on what I just said. When we actually do a review of their imaging results with them, they're getting more information on what I just said. When we do a reeval, more information on what I just said. I'm not asking for referrals. I'm just generating them. So it's not hard to do that. And if you're going to spend, like me, I'm a person, like I said, that was, 60, 70 hour a week guy. For those 17 years that I was in private practice. My first 2 years, I don't know, I was maybe 100 hour a week guy, treating, 12 patients a week, trying to figure it out. So, the key thing is, if you're going to be around for a while, you're going to be doing it. You might as well get more done while you're doing what you're already doing. And that's what I'm good at, showing you how to do. Okay. If there's any other questions, I will entertain them right now. If there's not, you've seen us. We also have, if you want more resources, or I have a podcast called the Smart Injury Doctors Podcast. You can get a feeling of what I'm about, or, what we're like. And like I said, if you need more information, fine, call us. We're not the pressure you in, you have to, come in today. What I am going to tell you is that if you're building a personal injury practice, this information, this market where I say, look, there's nobody in this market, that's not going to be forever. And if you're first in that market, or you're one of the first in your area in that market, you start to get known for that. It doesn't matter how many people come into it. It'll just strengthen your position. So, okay. Anybody else? You can also, is access to the full program, even if I choose the 3-month payment plan? Yeah. Yes, absolutely. So if you signed up tonight, you're going to get everything that I said, even if you signed up for the three pay aspect of it. Good job. You went out to the link. Okay. Going once on questions. Any more questions? John, Daniel, Chuck, anybody got a question? Robert, Hupak. Okay. thank you all very much for taking the time to listen to this. I know you're busy. I know what you do. I know how hard you're working. I know it's late. So I really appreciate you giving me your time and your attention tonight to learn more about our program. I hope to see you in it because I love working with doctors. Okay, so you have a good night and hopefully I'll see you soon. Thank you.